Hi,
everybody. My name is Jerzy. I'm a cartoonist and teaching artist, and welcome to this impromptu live stream with me and my buddy Gregg Schigiel. Hey, Greg.
Hello, Jerzy. How are you?
I'm doing great because I'm so happy for you that you have a book coming out that's actually out.
Oh, hold on. I got to mute something.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. It's muted. It's muted.
Yep.
I got a lot of different screens happening.
This doesn't happen on TV, Greg.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
This isn't TV. This is a YouTube.
It's kind of TV.
It is kind of TV.
So you have a new coloring book that just came out that I am very excited about because I've been saying over and over again on social media, this makes me feel exactly how it felt to be an 11-year-old reading comic books, looking through this coloring book.
Thank you. It's very kind of you. That was. I mean, that's ostensibly what I was going for. I was talking to somebody the other day about it, and I was like, yeah, this is me just indulging myself almost completely. Like, it's the things I want to draw, the kinds of things I think about, and the roots of this are all, it's all inspired by things that I was fascinated by as a kid. Certain coloring books I loved. There was a book called the Marvel pinup book, this giant oversized thing with like awesome illustrations and then text on the left side. The cover, which you're showing there, is in part inspired by Mego action figure packaging. So it's all everything's mooshed into this thing as something that is almost entirely self-indulgent.
But what is it?
What is it?
Yeah.
It's a coloring book of animal superheroes in its simplest form. The image you're looking at right there is a character named Wonder Bear, and scrolling down the faces on the left, or the heads on the left, you've got Hop Chop, Insect, Moonwolf, the Collared Spaniel, and Flexi Bill.
Oh my gosh.
It's some of the names are punny, some of them are just sort of based on what the animal is, some of them are defined by their powers, but it really is this is the first I'm talking about it publicly, but it's like, I think it's so cool at the risk of really tooting my own horn. It might be the most important thing I've ever done in my entire career. That's an exaggeration, but it really is. I mean, I had so much fun drawing this stuff and coming up with the concepts and inventing these characters and sort of taking inspiration from superheroes that exist that I love or grew up loving and finding ways to redefine them and turn them into something new and different and unique, but still recognizable to anybody that would know, oh, I see what he's doing there. He's taken this character and then added an animal and changed the costume and mashed them up and flipped them over. And then what has also been interesting is, you didn't ask this, but I've sent out some PDFs to people in advance. So like, hey, if your kids want to color this, and seeing what their color choices are. Because it's all black and white.
Yeah.
Like, I have a sense of what I think the colors are. Like, in my mind, Insect is a red suit of armor. But I've already seen drawings come back where it's yellow with polka dots, and there's different things happening. It's like, oh, this is fascinating.
So in a way, it's kind of like you're focus grouping it too.
I guess there's a bit of, it's fun to hear people react to which characters they like, which characters become their favorites. I lost your audio.
You can't hear me anymore?
Oh, wait, now I can.
Okay.
You know, it's not that I lost your audio. I saw the screen I'm looking at is on a delay. So I saw your mouth moving, but I wasn't hearing anything. Sorry. Yeah. Apologies. The screen also went black, the shared screen. So that's fine.
We're learning StreamYard for the first time together. Well, you've done StreamYard before. I haven't.
I've guested on StreamYards. I've never hosted a StreamYard.
Well, I can't imagine it's that different. But what I thought we'd do for, like 45 minutes or so is just talk about your book, your love of animals and superheroes. And then I was going to finish this drawing that I started of one of the characters from the book named Scale.
Oh, Scale. Now, is Scale your pick? Is he your favorite?
He was the one that I laughed the hardest when I was flipping through because of the pun. It was so good, where he's a little alligator. Well, he's an alligator who can shrink. so he can
Yes.
scale himself, and he's covered in scales.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was. Yeah, that was like the moment that I was like, okay, I'm in 5th grade again. Because like if I was encountering this book in 5th grade, I would lean over to the kid next to me in class and elbow him and be like, "You see, it's scale. It means 2 different things." They'd be like, "Yeah, I got it." I'm like, "Isn't that freaking brilliant? It means scaling and it means scales." They'd be like, "I got it." And I probably wouldn't let it go for a long time.
There's extra bonus stuff in his description. The character, his secret identity is Marshall Lakes. So, and marsh is like a swamp, and lakes is where alligators live. Like, it's all there. Like I had another thought about scale, and now it blanked on me, but it's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
scale is. I look forward to seeing your drawing. You draw good alligators and good reptiles, so I look forward to seeing this.
And that's another thing that I was thinking about. Like when I was a kid, I was super into lizard characters. So the V television series was popular.
Okay.
Lizard Man on He-Man and the Masters of the Universe was my favorite character when I was a little boy. And then like I did go through this one period where I was trying to get my friends to call me by a nickname, but that I chose, and I wanted them to call me the Iguana. It didn't take.
That's terrific. Look at that. There we go. There's Scale's eye.
Yep.
I love it. Even what I'm seeing right here, it's terrific.
I'm working in Clip Studio Paint, if anybody's curious.
Clip Studio Paint is really great for drawing.
So, do you have any particular favorites in this series?
It's a good question.
And if you want to pull them up on screen, I can switch to your screen while we're talking.
Well, I'd have to open up the PDF, which I could do. So hold on. Let me think. Do I have any favorites? There's a bunch that I've been sharing. I actually, I think I do like Quick Fast quite a bit. Quick Fast the Fleet Fox, but I think I maybe just like saying Quick Fast the Fleet Fox.
Yeah, that's a great name.
Let me see. I'm going to scroll through the PDF. You don't have to bring it up. I just want to refer. There's like 43 different characters in this thing. People really like Hot Wing, which is actually, yeah, you know what? Let me open this up and then I'll switch let's go to view. We'll do 2-page viewing. Let's find Hot Wing. Here he is. And then let me change what I'm sharing on my screen.
So everybody, you're watching live fan art happen.
I know, this is.
And as the kids say, I get to say first.
You do get to say first. I do not think anybody else has done any fan art.
Although, if anybody's watching right now and you want to race me to see who gets done first, you can.
Challenge.
I mean, humiliating me is quite fun. I have it on good authority. So try to beat me at drawing a fan art for Greg. And then the prize will be getting to say, haha, on Jerzy's face like Nelson Muntz.
So if you want to bring up my screen,
okay,
I'm sharing Hot Wing right now. Now, can your drawing screen shoot off to the side?
No, sadly. We only see one screen share at a time. So I'm going to switch back and forth while we go.
Oh, I see. Okay. There's got to be a better way. So this is Hot Wing, technically a bison. So as I was doing this, I learned the key differences between a buffalo and a bison.
Buffaloes aren't in North America.
Buffaloes are not in North America. Buffaloes have different horns. Their horns are shaped like handlebar mustaches. A bison has these cool upturned horns. And the key thing that made me draw a bison over a buffalo, bison has the little beard.
Mm-hmm.
Buffaloes do not have the little beard.
Oh.
So while the play is on Hot Wings, buffalo wings. Oh, now I just remembered the thing I was going to say before. What's interesting about scale, what's interesting about all of these is I've been thinking about, do any of these translate to a language that isn't English? And I don't think they do.
Oh, no.
Right? Like, I am certain the word for scale in French is not the same word as the hide of a reptile.
But see, doesn't that present a whole new interesting challenge of what you trying to figure out how to translate this?
I mean, it does, but then it makes you go, there's too many languages. This is impossible. Maybe Hot Wing can work in like Spanish, or maybe this thing ends up being called Buffalo Wing, and that's it. but that's not as it's not as hilarious.
No, it's not.
Let's see what other this is a drawing I'm very happy with. Hornblower, the Sonic rhinoceros.
Now, see, that is so like 1970s, 1980s comic booky, that pose.
It's classic though, right?
It is. No, I'm saying it looks like something like one of the Ramitas would have done.
Oh, well, thank you. This one, Copycat, was originally going to be a rabbit named Ditto. And I even did the whole drawing of Ditto. I drew like 4 different Dittos and copied them and pasted them and made a whole sea of them. It wasn't quite working. And then the Copycat popped in my head. I'm like, well, this is a gimme. Of course it's Copycat. And then I came up with the bit that Copycat can only make 9 duplicates, a la 9 lives. What other one? Let me keep scrolling. In terms of like a full concept, this might be my favorite of the whole bunch, the Barnstormers. It's farm animals with weather powers. And I mean, this whole thing came together like this was like a magic trick. It felt like I'd pulled off a magic trick with the Barnstormers.
I remember the day when you coined this because you messaged me about it and sent me the picture. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Just tickled beyond belief at this collection of 5 farm animals.
So like this like totally is like reminds me of those weird out of the way DC supervillain teams. Like, oh, what was it the Demolition Crew, the Green Lantern villains, who were all like had gold armor that was all construction themed?
I don't remember that, but I 100% believe that that's a real thing.
And
I mean,
like,
it's like the Circus of Crime, or the Royal Flush Gang, like these teams that are thematically enwrapped in something. Yes.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah. And then as I was drawing this, I was like, oh, and their base is like a silo at a farm. Like everything about it, like this is 100% right up my alley of like it's a little bit silly, but it's also you cannot deny like that's pretty cool.
So you better explain for those of us who are unfamiliar with the term what barnstorming actually means.
Well, so I know that barnstorming, there's a few different things. Like one, I remember there's an old video game where like you'd fly an airplane through a barn.
Yeah.
That was called Barnstormers. Yeah. Then I know barnstorming is also like a political term. Like you travel on a campaign, you go barnstorming.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I probably don't know what the actual word means.
Well, I've always heard it in relation to like flying a small plane across the Midwest and like just stopping in little towns.
Okay, well there you go. Mostly, I just think that the word storm is in there, and it's all weather.
Right.
So the cow is named Bellwether. The sheep or lamb is called Cold Front because the fleece is white as snow. Get it? The donkey is called He Hot.
He Hot.
He Hot, as opposed to He Ha, which is the sound a donkey makes. And I am saying donkey on purpose that way. I had an alternate name for He Hot, which is a little racier, which is Hot ASS.
Yeah.
Because that's another word for a donkey, which is also funny, but a little bluer.
Little bluer.
Yeah.
Would have totally felt like transgressive humor to a 5th grader.
Right. Twister, obviously, it's a pig with a curly Q tail. And then Lightning Rod was the name. I wanted to call him Weather Vane, which is that little thing that spins on the top of a barn that's often shaped like a rooster.
Mm-hmm.
But because I already had Bellwether, I thought having 2 weather names would be clunky.
I can see that.
So I went with Lightning Rod, which is perfectly fine. And then drawing a rooster with lightning-shaped coxcomb and tail makes me laugh. It's like some of these things are funny, and some of them are just like, I think they're just cool conceptually. Like this guy, Pandroid.
Yeah.
The android panda zombie. So he's the nemesis of Wonder Bear. And here's a little trivia for anybody watching this. So you're looking at the Pandroid drawing, and then here's Wonder Bear. Now pay attention to the cityscapes in the background. it's the same cityscape, and I just flopped it.
That's cheating.
Is it, or is it subliminal messaging?
Because he's the evil opposite, which is always a fun thing to play with in these kinds of stories.
Absolutely. Let's go back to your screen. I want to see what you're drawing.
I'm almost there. Let's back up so you can see the whole image. Now I had to sort of infer what Scale's backpack actually looks like behind him based on.
That's right.
That's what I came up with. I was like, I think it looks like that.
Hold on, it's coming up. I'm waiting for it to show up on my screen.
So I also really liked the elongated body on him. And so you could do like this kind of cool, like what would it look like if he jumped in like a cool superhero jump? You know?
Yeah.
So I got excited about that.
I like it. Look at that backpack. That's interesting. I wonder if so. I think I think the backpack is very cool looking. I probably would have done more curves than lines. But I like it.
I think I went a little like late 80s John Burney on it.
On the backpack?
Yeah.
Scroll so I can see the backpack again.
All right.
You're zoomed in on what I'm seeing is zoomed in where I'm seeing his foot right now.
Yeah, I was inking his foot. So
got it. Oh, it stinks that we can't have our drawings side by side. That's on me. That's on me for picking StreamYard.
That's all right. We'll figure out other ways to do this together.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. No, I mean the backpack looks. I mean, I will say the backpack looks like something out of He-Man.
Oh, maybe that. Well, yeah, I can't escape my influences.
Like something Man at Arms might be wearing.
I am what I am.
You are what you are. It's true. You're a real Popeye the Sailor Man. I like it. I mean, yeah, it's always fun to see something I've designed drawn by somebody else.
That is pretty fun. It
is fun, yeah. When I was working on SpongeBob comics, I got to design / create Mermaid Girl, and Ramona Fradon and Jerry Ordway both have drawn Mermaid Girl.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's bucket list kind of stuff, man.
Yeah. Although then I reached out to Ramona to see if I could buy that piece, and somebody had already bought it.
Oh,
I know. You can't win them all, Jerzy.
Well, you got to see it.
Yeah, I did get to see it, yes. And I got to exchange emails with Ramona Fradon, so.
That is pretty great.
That counts.
That does count.
Is that a USB?
Okay, so this is where I get to be a little bit of a show-off. So I was trying to think, like, okay, in pictures of the Atom or of Ant-Man, there's always like a thimble or a button or a needle, something that is like traditionally very small that you draw big. So it's like, okay, this is the 21st century. Does anybody know what a thimble is? Of course people know what a thimble is. There's still crafting shows. People still make things, but it's not as universal of a symbol. And I was like, what is a more universal thing that's tiny? And I was like, hello, right there. So that's where he's jumping.
That's excellent. I mean, I know when I was doing my drawing, like, okay, where do I put him so that you could tell he's tiny? And I was going to draw him on a circuit board.
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, but because there's little things to color, and because you think of it as a color. And then I thought, no, it's. I think a mug and a book will do the trick, and they're fast and simpler to draw that stuff. So that's what I ended up doing.
Well, and part of my calculation as well was that the USB stick is very geometric. It's like straight lines, boxes. We're done.
Yeah. What's funny is of the people I've seen coloring so far, they're coloring characters that are on these cityscape backgrounds. But they're not coloring the cityscapes.
Oh, that's funny.
And I realized, I wouldn't have done that either. If I was 9, I would have colored the figure and moved on. Like, I wouldn't have colored all the buildings. So I'm wondering if I should have done some other more just bursts and stuff instead of cityscapes.
Okay, I think. Oh, one more line, and then I can move on to coloring. We're going to find out what colors I would make this guy. So I know you're excited about that, too.
I am. I mean, I have a sense of what the colors are in my mind.
Yeah.
But it also might be somewhat tinged by the costume it's half based on. Not half based on, but slightly based on.
All right, so I'm going to make my color layer. I'm going to make this into, what do they call it? A reference layer.
Is this the Aaron Polk trick?
The flatting trick?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I remember when Aaron taught me this. we both like we were actually co-teaching a class together, and while the kids are working, Aaron's like started showing me on his laptop,
Yeah.
and I made a noise that all the kids lifted their heads. They're like, "What's happened over there? Something amazing just happened over there. We're not part of it."
It really is a nifty bit of business.
All right, so now I'm going to go and let's see, what colors would I make this? Well, okay, so instantly I'm thinking that it's gonna be some kind of like darkish green for, right, like all of the lizard bits, because it is an alligator, right? Or crocodile.
Here's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, well, this makes it more complicated. I was gonna say, if you send me that, I can start filling it in with colors too. But that's
Oh, you want me to do that real quick?
no. I just want to watch you color.
Because we got time.
I know, but I just want to watch the colors happen.
Okay.
I don't want to influence your choices. Like I have ideas in my head, but I don't want to.
Okay. So superheroes, I'm thinking complementary colors to create visual drama. But I think if I went with red, like that's too much drama. So now I want to head over towards something that's like a little bit more purpley. I'm wondering something like that.
Now keep in mind, this is a character I have not colored at all.
Okay, great.
So if I were coloring him, I would probably try like 5 to 30 different. Well, you were the guy I showed all my colors of Wonder Bear to.
I was going to say he's not lying, everybody.
Yeah, I think there were 32 color combinations for Wonder Bear.
That sounds right.
Although maybe it was like 20, but there were 2 different fur colors for the bear himself, so it ended up being, it felt like a lot more, but it was a lot.
So then for the little bits of armor, I would think something cooler like this. This is getting very 1987 for me. He's went from Challenges the Unknown to suddenly maybe a little bit more teal than that. Something like that, maybe.
Interesting.
And I'm going to say switch to this one and just change all those colors to that. Oh, turn the area scaling off, please. Boom. Okay. I'll keep going.
I'll give you props and credit for drawing a pose where the backpack is showing and just taking that shot.
Well, because the first thing I thought of when I saw him, and I was like, okay, I'm going to draw one of these characters. Well, I'm going to do scale. Well, I want him to be in a superhero pose. So what would that look like? Okay, well, he'd be jumping like you were showing with the rhino character. What was his name?
Hornblower.
And then for a little bit more visual interest, we'll add orange for the eyes, black for there. Okay, and I don't know. I might leave those stripes white.
Interesting. I mean, I like those colors. I can tell you that in my brain, part of the costume reminds me of Weather Wizard.
Okay.
So there's a certain green and yellow that I just see in my head when I see those patterns of like the bars.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what he should look like. That's just what my brain. Now I will say, my brain saw the helmet and the backpack as red.
Really?
Yeah. Which you did mention, but you mentioned it for the bodysuit.
Yeah, I was thinking of the bodysuit.
Yeah, I saw the helmet and the backpack as either a red or like a dark orange or a rust color.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd have them match the gloves and the boots. I think the gloves and the boots would match the bars on the costume.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that feels too monochromatic for me.
Well, and then the bodysuit would be it would be 3 colors, which is basically what you've done, but I would arrange the colors differently.
I see.
So we're on a very similar page. Just different colors and different arrangement of the colors, which is perfectly reasonable.
Make a clipping layer, set it to multiply. I'm going to grab my shading color.
Oh, you're going to shade it too.
Oh my gosh, I am just going all out for you, Greg.
You really are. It's very cool. Look at that. Check him out.
So like I think like I have a real strong fondness for 1987, 1988 DC Comics aesthetic, like when Ty Templeton started doing a lot of stuff for them.
Okay.
I don't know how much you read that stuff.
I mean, I'm sure I don't know specifically what Ty was working on, but I'm certain I was reading comics in 1987, 1988. And
you were there?
I was there. I mean, let's see. 87 to 88. So that's post
crisis.
It's yeah. I'm thinking it's post Death in the Family, right?
Oh, I was never a big Batman reader, so I don't know. Could be.
So what were you reading in 86 in 87?
87, I was reading Vigilante, Checkmate, Superman. Let's see, Justice League.
Checkmate was an awesome design.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about the comic. I just saw it and I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, I saw it and then I read. I'm like, oh, this isn't my kind of thing. This is like Shield, and I've never been a big fan of Shield.
Yeah.
But the visual on Checkmate is choice. To use a 1987 descriptor.
All right, so but yeah, so I wasn't into the Batman universe until, of course, 1989 when the movie came out, and then I was like, oh, I'm reading all the Batman books now.
Poser.
Oh, totally. Oh yeah.
I remember when that was happening, and I was just like, I've been reading Batman longer than any of the. I've been into Batman since I was 2. I was really taking it personally, and then that movie was such a disappointment to me.
Oh, you didn't care for it?
There was no way that movie could live up to the expectations I had for that movie. The hype was too much.
Okay.
I thought Michael Keaton was awesome. Like before the movie, I was just like, this guy was Beetlejuice. This guy's gonna be amazing. Tim Burton made Beetlejuice. Like everything, I was just like, this movie's gonna be incredible. Jack Nicholson, oh my god! And then he saw the movie. I was like, this isn't. Wait, what? Joker didn't kill. No, like a real. None of it all started like broke apart for me.
See, I had zero investment, so I was just like, all right, what's this all about? Oh, this is fun. I didn't know the Joker like actually killed Bruce Wayne's parents. Spoilers.
It still bothers me because it turns Batman into a revenge story, which isn't what it is.
Yeah.
Even though Mike Barr wrote, Mike Barr wrote, like he played the revenge thing out, where Batman finds out who Joe Chill is.
Yeah.
And he like, this is all year 2. If anybody wants to read Batman year 2, like he tracks down Joe Chill. He finds the man who killed his parents, and before he can decide what to do, if I'm remembering this correctly, Joe Chill has a heart attack.
I think that's right.
So Batman doesn't even get that whatever that would be, that feeling of revenge, doesn't even get it. And then that begets the story called Full Circle, where I think it's Joe Chill's son or daughter, I can't remember, becomes a character called the Reaper, who's going after Batman. Beautifully drawn by Alan Davis.
But anyway, we know about you and Alan Davis.
Yeah, Alan Davis is early influence, to be sure. One of the greats. But anyway, so I was reading a lot of Batman stuff in 87. I was reading Avengers comics in 87. What else was I reading at that point? I'd have to actually look and see what was happening in comics. Like I don't have it. Like it's not, the year is not immediately coming. What year? So 87, I would have been in
7th or 8th grade.
Yeah, 7th or 8th grade. So I was probably reading my brother's Spider-Man comics. So that would have been like the McFarlane stuff. I was reading Hulk. So Peter David Hulk. I was reading Thor, which would have been DeFalco Friends Thor.
Oh, that was good.
That was great. X Factor. Oh, 100% reading X Factor.
Was this the Simonson X Factor?
Probably. I mean, Louise was writing it, and then Walt came on at a certain point for sure. Look at that. I just, looking in my screen, I just saw a line that I forgot to draw on that Wonder Bear background, and I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want anybody to see it, but I see it.
I'm going to try to do some highlights on this character, and I'm almost done. We should remind people who are showing up that I'm drawing a character from Gregg Schiegel's new book, Superhero Universe. It's a coloring book with animal superheroes that you can get on Amazon right now.
And super villains.
Oh, that's right. And super villains,
yep.
Super teams.
There are 2 super teams. Well, 3 4 if you count the Barnstormers and the 3 evil pigs. Yeah.
Well, and you also got some 2-person teams, right? Like the sidekick kind of deal.
That's true. There is Moonwolf and Crescent, and then there is Hop Chop and Shell Shot.
That's right.
Who are my version of Green Arrow and Mockingbird, Green Arrow and Black Canary, or Hawkeye and Mockingbird. Classic sort of married duo, or heart to heart for that matter. for anybody who wants to really.
When those two met, it was murder.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Lionel Stander.
I did used to watch that show, and
Me too.
it was a good one. Yes, indeed.
I am. So yes, everybody, you go to find out. I'm going to see if I tried to make a short link for it, like with a redirect off of one of my URLs, but it wasn't taken.
It's weird. The Amazon links are very strange that way. But if you go to Amazon and search Superhero, it's the only thing that comes up, which is shocking. But I'm glad for it. And then if you go to my social media, which is just my name, Gregg Schigiel, I've got things linked everywhere.
Okay. Put a few little. I imagine this is metallic. It reads as metallic.
But right now, your drawing is not on the screen, so I don't know what.
Oh, it'll just take a second for it to populate.
Right. I don't mean to poke you.
Oh my gosh, Greg, such a high maintenance guest.
I know. I am. It's true.
So, I don't know what's happening. What's going on?
I don't know.
Okay, so I'm gonna post this to my social media when I'm done.
Oh, I'll retweet it. I don't know how to I don't know how to repost things in Instagram. I know you're supposed to get a secondary app, and I refuse to do that.
Yeah, same here.
But I think there's a way to share it in stories. I know that's a thing people do.
That is a thing people do.
Okay, so you're saying the helmet has a metallicness to it?
It reads as metallic to me.
It could. It's definitely a hard material. So metal would make perfect sense to me.
So I am putting like a little bit of a reflective sheen on it.
No problem. The design of that helmet is meant to resemble something like a pterodactyl dinosaur thing with the sort of spike going back. Because there really is no reason he had a helmet with a spike going back.
All right, so now you want to see how I'm going to make this really fancy?
I would love to.
You've seen me do this 1,000 times, Greg.
I want to see the 1,001st time, please.
Where you put a little box behind them with the color in it, and now I'm going to try to think of a third color. I've got like the pale blue. I've got the warmish, purplish.
I would say the third color is obvious, but
is it?
I think so. But let's see if you think of the same color.
I've already got my triad of colors here with the green, the blue, and the purple.
Yeah, and there's one color. There's one color or a sequence of colors upon which all of that will pop like corn.
That's good.
Thank you. Right. I mean, look. Okay, here.
What?
Not to go into teacher mode, but it's almost entirely cool colors.
Oh.
So I would say you got to go into the warm or hot spectrum.
So somewhere in this neighborhood, boom.
Let's see which one. That's not bad. I would go lighter. I'd go closer to the yellow or gold.
In there?
Yeah.
All right. So far so good. I'm gonna move it around a little bit so I don't have any weird tangents.
Sure. The tangents are those will do you in every time.
Okay, I'm going to lock my transparent pixels. I'm going to choose a slightly darker color so I can do a little gradient at the bottom. And then I'm going to open up I've got a sort of a folder of textures that I use a lot. Somebody's on my comics folder, textures.
So when you're shading, what brush is that in Clip Studio that you use? Because you use it a lot and it looks cool.
Oh, so I bought a bucket of brushes from Ray Frendon at frendon.com.
Sure, I've got the same bucket.
And in his dry brush set is one that's called Dry Brush Inker Alt. And I made a modified version of that for my inking, which is like a more saturated brush, which I do for my brush lines. So like you can see like there's a texture on when you get really close.
Sure.
But for the shading, I use the Dry Brush Inker regular that he designed. And then I just blow it up, make it big and small. And then I just do the trick where you make a layer, set it to a clipping layer, set it layer mode to multiply 30%, and then I use like a color purple, and I just use it for everything on the image.
Oh, so interesting.
The purple mixes.
Interesting. Okay.
Why is that interesting?
Because I don't do that. That's why.
Oh.
I do the very tedious process of taking the base color and then adding 10 to 15 to every CMY of it.
Oh, that is tedious.
To darken that specific color. and then I add the shadows in accordingly.
That is tedious, Greg.
Actually,
that's how I colored Boulder and Fleet. If I were to plug one of my books,
please do.
Mining for Trouble, which you can actually find at books.jdros.com. I did color this that way, where I was actually doing like I was mixing it like paint. But anyway, so now I got this texture, and I'm going to copy this, edit, copy, and I'm gonna go back to scale.
Look at that thing.
Edit, paste. Paste over top, set that to be a clipping layer, lock transparent pixels on it because I've already knocked out all the transparent pixels. I'm going to give this a fill of red, like a dark red.
This is I don't know what you're doing, but I'm fascinated by watching it happen.
Here we go. So we'll fill it with a dark red, reduce its opacity a little bit, and boom, now we've got like a cool texture behind our character.
Fascinating.
You never seen me do that? I do this like all the time.
I mean,
with my drawings.
I'm sure I've seen the effect of it. I've never seen it happen. So it is interesting to see. I mean, I don't understand any of it. I'm very analog with a lot of this stuff. I basically treat everything like it's a coloring book. So the introduction of textures and stuff is like next level. That's advanced.
So now all that's left is for me to put my signature on. I think it's done. So, and then go, wrong brush. Get my inking brush back. And I still have the same signature I developed in 9th grade. And I thought I was so clever when I did it.
Sure.
R-O-Z.
That's pretty good.
Is it?
I'd think so. I had a signature for many years that at a certain point, our mutual friend Chris Jeruso was like, you got to sign things differently. Like what you're doing is illegible. They're like, but this is how I sign stuff. He's like, change it. And I have changed it since, but I used to, and I still sign like my checks and stuff in a very similar, like still the way I've signed things since I was a kid, but well, not a kid, since like high school or college.
Whoops. Okay.
But when we switch to my screen, I can show you how I used to sign things.
All right. So let me just fill my signature in with the color. So match a little bit, and there we go. Save. I'm going to export it as a JPEG, so right after this, I can share it with the world. I hope somebody beat me at finishing their fan art for
that would be
Superhero Universe.
Very impressive, because you had a pretty good head start. You had like
I did.
You had to ink a leg, and then you colored it.
I had the pencils done. I did the pencils yesterday in anticipation of today's stream. So I'm going to switch to your desktop so we can see how you used to sign your stuff.
Okay, so let me get rid of the cover of my thing here. So I used to sign like, okay, can I even remember? Yeah, I used to go like this. Wait, that's too light. Let me darken that. Let me get my opacity up. Why is this? Okay, hold on. Sorry. And then I'd go, and then I'd put the date like that.
I like that it's either like the symbol that precedes musical tablature.
Oh no, it's a dollar sign.
It's a dollar sign.
Yeah.
That's very, very Ayn Randy of you.
That was not the intent. I was just like, ooh, one day I'm gonna be rich. And then I would sign comics and stuff. I would sign them like that.
Oh wow.
And Chris is like, yeah, you can't sign things like that. So now I basically do a variation of what you're seeing on the bottom right hand, and it just goes.
Yeah.
And then I'll put the date here. Not in a circle. The circle is a little bonus for everybody. So what should I be drawing?
Yeah, what should you draw?
I probably won't take it to the full color max that you graced us with, but I could definitely draw. I mean, do you want me to draw an existing superhero? Do you want to throw an animal at me and see what I do?
An animal with power. Okay. So here's another reason this book was so exciting to me. So when I was in 5th grade, I had my own superhero universe, and they were fantasy, science fiction, aliens, of course, because what else would it be? But they were all based on this species of life. Oh, you're gonna love this, Greg. The species of life that crash lands on Earth, and then in order to survive has to adapt itself to the existing creatures around it. It had to like learn to like turn into the creatures that were on the earth. So it was like basically organic transformers.
Sure, of course.
And I thought I was so clever for figuring that out. Like, oh, but instead of turning into a truck, they turned into a lizard. So I had a character named Birdman, Lizard Man. Then there was Fastfoot, who was a lizard, but he just could run fast. Then there was Claw, and Claw was a lizard too, but he could make his hands grow really big. And he had like an Indiana Jones outfit for some reason. And then there was a character named Big Mouth, who was a rhino who could shout really loud.
That's eerie.
How is that eerie?
Because I've got a rhino named Hornblower that shouts really loud.
That is eerie. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about Big Mouth at some
No.
point?
That's wild. Okay.
So, and I recently, like about a couple years ago, I posted on my Instagram. I came across a book that I wrote, a story I wrote about my characters in 5th grade. And there was a character that's mentioned in the story that I have no recollection of what they looked like, but it was called Bones, Master of Lasers. So if you want to show me when I say the word Bones, Master of Lasers, what do you see in your head? It was probably an animal, but
right?
I have no idea what it was.
Bones, Master of Lasers. Interesting.
I'll see if I can find that on my Instagram while you
what you were saying reminded me that part of this project that I was working on was there was a period where I was redesigning Marvel characters. Like, how would I design a Hawkeye costume? How would I design the Monica Rambeau Captain Marvel costume? And I went through my folders. I found some of those costumes, and some of those costumes are in this book. I'm like, oh, that's a cool costume. I'm just going to use it for something else. So some of those are in here. Bones, Master of Lasers. Well, so you had no idea what animal this was either?
I don't remember.
Interesting. I mean, bones makes me think of dogs because dogs chew on bones.
Yes.
But there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else there. I know you like your lizards.
Well, and Floofy Piggy in the chat was asking, did I want a pet lizard? But my parents said no. My 5th grade teacher was like one of my favorite teachers of all time. And he had in our classroom, he had a giant terrarium with a full-sized iguana in it. And he had a piranha. And it was the flesh-eating piranha, like the kind like from the movies. And if you were caught playing with toys in the classroom, he would drop the toy in the piranha tank.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And one morning I came into class and there was a trail of blood leading from the piranha tank to the bathroom. And it turns out that he was feeding the piranha that morning and he accidentally dropped the little net to put the fish in there. And he instinctively reached in for it. And the moment his hand touched the water, the piranha had his finger.
That is awesome.
He was a cool teacher.
Okay, I figured out what Bones, Master of Lasers is going to be.
All right, I'm excited. I'm going to look up that story real quick while you're doing that.
Sure.
So I can read the page that I shared on my Instagram. Jerzy Drozd on Instagram, everybody. DROZD, rhymes with hosed. It might have been a couple years ago.
I'm already excited about Bones, Master of Lasers. Like, as I'm drawing it, I'm picturing what I have in mind, and I'm like, this is pretty good.
It looks like the beginning of a tortoise? No.
Yeah.
Oh.
It is.
Why would it be a tortoise?
I don't know, but it's the lasers that I'm fixating on, and you'll see why in a second. I also, for some reason, see Bones, Master of Lasers as a bad guy. Is that accurate? Or
I don't. That's why I was trying to find that little page that I shared on Instagram a couple of years ago because I honestly don't remember at all. I think Bones was a good guy, but or a hero. I can't. The villains in my story were. Let's see. There was Snaketooth a villain? There was another lizard man named Snaketooth. And his whole deal was he had one tooth that hung over his lip. Sure. Classic. Yeah. Classic snaggletooth bad guy. Oh, Jailbreaker. Jailbreaker was the main villain, and no prison could hold him. That's good. That's good. And he was just all white. He looked like kind of like he was like a full white bodysuit with no face, and there was just black bars that ran over his whole body. And then, but he had some kind of mystical power. He could like pull the black bars off of his costume. They would actually be like black weapons that he like metal bars he could hit you with.
That's cool. I like it.
Do you?
That's like yeah, because it's like cartoon logic. It's like the in well, in many cartoons, but certainly in Roger Rabbit, there's like the black spot that you can lay down and fall into it, kind of a thing.
Yeah. I guess it was. Yeah, it was kind of that kind. And my stories tended to, well, the stuff I do now is very much like what I was doing in 5th grade, where it's like it's got some tension in it, but it's mostly just funny.
Right. I mean, I had a character. I mean, I created a bunch of characters in high school, and one of them, that his whole power was based on that spot technology.
Yeah. The Spider-Man character who had like the black dots that he could throw into the air and then like push his hand through here and it comes out over there.
Yep, that's basically what I was ripping off. Almost entirely.
I remember the first time I read that issue, I thought it was the most genius supervillain I've ever heard of. And especially because like he had no real superpowers to speak of. So his whole deal was like, I'll just keep going all day.
Yeah.
And eventually I'll weaken you, Spider-Man.
I got to draw that guy for a Marvel magazine that gets printed in Italy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Okay, yes. Master lasers because he's got all these lasers housed in his shell.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining there's going to be some kind of like bone motif, like maybe a mask or something.
You know what? You just gave me an idea of these lasers. So these things are going to be connected by bones.
So like now we got like some kind of like spooky kind of vibe going on with this character. It could be from Filmation's Ghostbusters.
Yeah, so the bones are what come out of his. That's gross.
That is pretty gross.
It makes him far less heroic, that's for sure.
Well, then now I'm imagining like he has like a skull face or something. Like this is actually like more of like a spooky character.
Well, it's going to make him a snapping turtle.
Oh. What's a snapping turtle skull look like?
I don't know, but I could easily just put a mask on him that has a skull motif to it.
And that was one that I felt like always worked when we were kids too.
Skull motif?
Well, yeah, like General Kale and Willow. I mean, like we know nothing about him. He doesn't do anything that interesting in the movie, but he's one of the most like visually compelling villains of all time, in my opinion.
Well, the skulls are, it's a Skellington. It's like hey, death is imminent.
Skellington.
Wasn't there a D&D character? No, that was just a cool helmet. There was a D&D guy that had a helmet that sort of went like this.
Yeah, Warduke.
Yeah, that guy. I don't remember any of their names.
I don't know why I do.
Because you have a better memory for these things than I do.
No, I really do think that part of my brain is broken because I can't remember when my electrical bill is due, but I can remember that character's name is Warduke.
Well, it's like I had a Twitter conversation 3 years ago with Benito Sereno and Erica Henderson, where I asked where the very first appearance of the Wolverine Beast hairstyle was used.
Uh-huh.
And it became this pretty inane internet conversation about that hairdo and where it came from. And at some point, Erica mentioned steeplechase face, which is the grinning face that welcomes you to Coney Island in New York.
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah. And I thought, that's a good name for a Joker analog.
Oh my gosh.
And then Benito's like, that's a great idea. And I said, thank you, good night on Twitter. And I never forgot it. So now there is in this book, Steeplechase Face, the hyena, the havoc-loving hooligan hyena. And it's entirely based on that conversation.
I had it in my head that it was something to do with some like 1930s slang that I was not familiar with.
I mean, I guess it sort of is. It's Coney Island, though, specifically. Now, I am completely improvising this costume. It's always a thing when you draw a turtle or a tortoise, you want to try and not make it look like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I'm tracking back. I am deciding that Bones is just the dude's name.
Okay.
He just happens, like maybe his name is like uh, uh, Emil Stabone, or some. I mean, you would have to come up with his actual name.
Emil Stabone.
That would be up. That would be up to you.
Adrian. No, and I see. I'm thinking Stallone and Adrian from Rocky.
Should we make Bones a lady?
That would be good.
Okay, I don't know how to draw a turtle as a lady, but I'm about to try.
Marion DeBona.
There we go. Okay, so let's make Bones a lady. This is going to be tricky. How do you make a lady turtle?
Pay attention to the pronouns. Because actually, I get this every once in a while from people like emailing me about Boulder and Fleet, and they're like, "Oh, Fleet's my favorite character. He does such and such," and I'm like, "Well, pay attention. Fleet's a lady. I didn't put the big Minnie Mouse eyelashes on her."
I mean, that was the almost. I don't know if it was the entire point, but that was one of the intentions of Blue in Blue's Clues.
Oh yeah,
was Blue is a girl, but Blue is blue. Throws a lot of people off.
I wasn't trying to be an iconoclast or anything. It's just I didn't want to like have Fleet look like cartoon feminine.
Sure. You didn't want to be an iconoclast, but you are.
Oh, I just can't help it. It's ingrained into me. I cannot find it. Dadgummit. I wanted to find and read you that page because it's really bad. I mean, it's not bad for, I guess, an 11-year-old, but it's like, it was, I don't know if you did this kind of thing, but whenever I did creative writing assignments, I always wrote like it was a comic book script where there was like almost no descriptive language. It was like just dialogue. And then like he hit the guy, and then he hits the other guy, you know?
I think I wrote stuff that was like real moody. He comes crashing through the door, sweating like a whatever. You know, real descriptive.
Wow, I did not do that. So yeah, it reads like a really early draft of a play, and you don't know where the characters are or what they're doing while they're talking. So it's just like a whole bunch of dialogue back and forth. And then in the last line of the story, I ripped off the last line of a He-Man episode.
I won't tell anybody.
No, everybody has heard it. Okay, so I like what you did with the you know the what is the bottom of the shell?
Yeah, the shell casing.
Shell casing.
Creates some kind of a form.
Yep.
The illusion of hips of some kind.
Yeah. I see. Looking at this, I would almost wonder if Bones' Master of Lasers could have been a spider, and all the spider legs could have been lasers.
That is totally possible. Yeah, I don't know. Turtle just came to me.
Well, it's got the casing. The shell can hold a lot of things.
Yeah, a place for her stuff. R.I.P. George Carlin.
Right. And we won't say what your stuff is, but we know that your stuff is something else than what my stuff is.
What?
We're digging deep into that bit.
Oh, got it. I'm going to change I'm going to go for this kind of a shoulder situation, which is insane. Right.
It is not. Well, you're already breaking all sorts of anatomical rules of a tortoise in the first place. So, but you're doing it for the sake of dynamism and visual interest. Right?
You're saying in the way that an actual tortoise's arms go out of its shell?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the way the shell forms around the body.
Well, of a fashion. I mean, it still kind of does what it's doing.
No. You're abstracting it and cartoonifying it, but
yeah.
And see, this is something that I struggle with as somebody who does comics about animals. Is that I've got this. I don't know where this rule comes from or why I obey it, but I try to make it look like you just took an animal and just had them stand up, right?
Right.
So if it's a dog character and he doesn't have people hands and his back legs are going to work like how the dog's back legs would work, you know.
I think that is an absolutely. I think there's different ways to approach any sort of anthropomorphism, and it's like. I mean, I should have let you finish what you were saying, but
yeah, you should have, but you didn't. That's okay.
Finish what you were saying. Finish what you were
No,
saying.
but I do break the rule though, because I mean, I'll have Fleet use her wings like hands a lot, which would not be very likely. But then to which I say, like, well, where are you going to draw the line? It's talking animals,
Right. Yeah, I think for me, it's a case of there's varying degrees of abstraction. So I actually did a stuffed sketch video about exactly that, where I abstracted a tiger several times over. And I think so much of it is what is your ultimate, what are you trying to pull off with the thing you're doing? So, you can get something like The Lion King, which is just animals on all fours with very expressive faces, or you get something like The Jungle Book, which is animals on all fours, but then Baloo will kind of push the limits, or King Louie, who I guess is closer to a human anyway.
Right.
And then you get something like Robin Hood, which is just like they're on all fours. They're just going about their business.
Yeah, they're people with animal heads.
Yeah,
with like slightly changed bodies according to the animal's proportions. But
right.
Floofy Piggy in the chat is responding to my statement about just like standing the animal up, and says that's why your art is so cute, the standing up approach. Thank you for that. I do have to wonder if it's partially informed by. So like one of my favorite things to do at the dining room table. I've got 2 cats now, Shenandoah and Martha Bumblebee, and one of my favorite things to do is I'm only sharing this, or I'm partially sharing this to see if Greg remembers this too, because I'm having a difficult time finding people who remember this commercial. But the cats will invariably jump up on our lap while we're eating, and I'll pull the cat's arms over the top of the table, very gently, of course, and then I'll have them slam the table with both paws and say, "No butts, it's got to be butter. No butts, it's got to be butter." Do you know that commercial at all?
I don't think I do.
Oh my gosh. I can't find anybody, and I can't find it on YouTube. I tried finding it to show it to Ann. I was like, Ann, surely you remember it was a whole bunch of like monks in a monastery, and they're all slamming the table with their hands saying, "No butts, it's gonna be butter."
Suddenly,
like,
the monks suddenly sounded a little familiar, but I don't know.
It was like a Dairy Council commercial from like the early 80s. And they bring out margarine to the table, and the monks all get super ticked off and start, doing like an Attica bit, but they're like saying that they want butter instead of margarine.
I don't know it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Anyway, it's adorable to watch a cat slam a table with its paws saying, "No butts, it's got to be butter." That's all I'm saying.
I read you. I think there's something cool about being able to, again, especially the way like hind quarters of an animal bend. Like it's not like a leg that does this; it's a leg that does this.
Yeah.
Like being able to make this work in varying poses of action and dynamics it's when it looks cool, it's very cool. I think my choice is to go much more humanoid with this, where practicality more than anything else.
Well, and when I was a child, I totally did it that way too. And like I think I like Peter Pork or the Spectacular Spider-Ham comics. And like they were immensely appealing to me. So like that's another reason that your book took me back to that. It took me back to reading those kinds of like the Star comics,
right?
Anthropomorphic animal comics,
which even those are taken to a far cartoonier composition, construction. Like mine are still probably closer to superhero quote unquote drawing style than something like a SpongeBob SquarePants,
right?
Or Adventure Time or whatever. No, this isn't working. Which is, I could do a drawing of Wonder Bear where he looks like his current proportions are very superheroic. But if I want, I could also do a Wonder Bear that looks like this. Right? Like,
yeah,
a real cartoon bear kind of a thing.
Can't get enough of that golden crisp.
Yeah. But I mean, this is completely different kind of proportions and a different.
Now, see, when I was doing my fan art for you, I almost did Wonder Bear, but like a real bear. And then I thought, well, we would lose a lot if we did that. It would it would be like when you see those drawings of The Simpsons where like they're drawing like real people,
Right. Or to bring up The Lion King, there's the
Yeah.
Jon Favreau Lion King movie, which a lot
Yeah.
gets lost in its attempt to make a realistic Lion King.
Yeah.
Although now that I've done that, I might like once I've finished figuring out what the heck the deal is with this turtle, which is taking a little longer than they originally intended because I'm overthinking every aspect of it.
Oh, now, okay. So now suddenly you're emphasizing the eyes more than the mouth. And now I'm seeing the word mysterious.
Oh, interesting.
Suddenly Bones has become a lady of mystery. You wonder what other kind of lasers are in that shell, what other inventions she's been working on.
I mean, it definitely has an alien quality, which, see, that doesn't work. It doesn't feel right.
She needs goggles.
Is it goggles? Is that the...
Not round. Not round.
Now she looks like that character from Star Wars.
Yeah, I was gonna say not round. I would say do like ski goggles kind of deal.
Like that?
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
All right, that's fine. I'm happy to collabo.
And then you can imply the eyes underneath without having to.
There is an interesting thing about turtles. They just like instantly look old.
Yeah.
And I had this thought the other day. You got turtles, you got snails. How come all the animals that carry their houses on their back are slow?
Is that always the case?
No, I guess a hermit crab can scuttle pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
I did not realize I was sounding that way.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm going to go watch a film about flowers while I slowly die.
Is that from something?
That's Edward G. Robinson in Omega Man.
Never saw Omega Man.
Oh, well, you're not missing that much.
I feel like there needs to be some other element to the mask. The mask still isn't working for me.
Mm.
I don't think goggles are the answer.
Okay.
I already used the collar thing for my turtle character, shell shots.
Well, yeah.
So I can't just... What if I put
they
the eyes
like
up here?
What if they were... Oh, that would work.
I don't know. Does it work?
It could. Oh, what a cheerful master of lasers. Oh. Enthusiastically aggressive master of lasers.
Yeah, yeah.
It definitely looks more youthful now.
Turtles don't even have teeth, do they?
No.
They just chomp on lettuce like they love lettuce.
They do.
All right, so you know what? She's getting just a basic domino mask. When in doubt, domino mask. It's a classic for a reason.
Look at that.
All right, and then let's make some quick decisions. Now it's like a Bob Ross thing. Let's make some quick decisions. We're going to follow the logic of that collar I drew for these weird geometric gauntlets.
And fingerless gloves.
Fingerless gloves.
It's always cool.
And then the boots. You know, let's do toeless boots. Is that it? That's not a thing you see very often. Bare feet.
Yeah. You don't. I think of Tigra from the Thundercats.
There you go. All right, so then let's, I use the Friendin brush pen opaque for inking. So I'm going to ink very quickly.
Okay.
For the sake of everybody's patience. Because it is, I know people have things to do.
See, I actually I've watched your Stuff Sketched videos. By the way, everybody, Gregg is on YouTube. Stuff Sketched. You do search on YouTube for that. Watch his drawing videos and listen to his essays on comics and storytelling. but I've never seen it at 100% speed. It's always been sped up.
That's true. I do always speed them up. I mean, I'm particularly inking quickly in this instance. I'm not regretting any of my line choices. I'm just going with them. Although okay, there's an empty hole there. Hold on. Gotta seal that up so I can
bucket it.
Fill that in.
Oh, the negative or the transparent ink trick.
Yes.
I love that. You can actually draw over black with transparent ink.
Or just white ink, right?
It's basically just turning your pen into an eraser. But
yeah,
if you got like a really cool brush that you enjoy, it's fun to draw with transparent ink. Look at that. Just competence. I talk about this a lot when I'm doing professional development sessions with teaching artists. And I talk about like how it doesn't matter how well you draw when you're doing demos for students. It's like, it's the fluency that is the amazing thing to see.
Sure.
It's like no beginner is gonna be like, oh, you totally biffed it with those tangents there, you know. But like they watch you just throw the lines down like that, just so effortlessly. It really looks like a magic trick.
Yes, agreed. And the thing I point out to people all the time is these lines are going down because of all the time I just spent building the skeleton underneath. Like I would not be able to do this the way I'm doing it if I did not just spend 30 minutes tinkering and toiling and doodling and scribbling and, you know, refining.
And otherwise suffering.
Well, it's you know, the metaphor I use a lot in my videos is you don't frost the cake until you've baked it. And I've just spent 30 minutes baking a cake.
That's good.
And now I can just start slapping frosting on it because the cake is cooled and it's solid, and I can just get to work on the thing that people are going to see. Because when this is over, I just erase that, and that's all you're seeing.
Right.
When it's all said and done. Just like a cake, you don't see, you know, if there's a tear in the cake or something, or if it cracked, nobody sees that.
We've all watched Cake Boss. We've seen what a mess it can be underneath all that fondant.
That's right. And then they just drape it in fondant, and everything, the world is saved.
And cereal treats or Rice Krispie treats, depending on what season you're watching.
Did they ever call them Rice Krispie treats?
They did. In the early seasons, they call it Rice Krispie treats. And all of a sudden, like season 3, he's like, oh, I'm putting cereal treats on it. Oh, somebody got mad at you.
Yeah.
Somebody said, hey, we want a piece of that action if you're going to be talking about our product.
He might be the boss of cakes, but he ain't the boss of General Mills. Or Kellogg's. That would be Kellogg's, right?
Kellogg's. That's good. Good one.
Thanks.
It's come along pretty swiftly.
Well, this is... I've given myself an against the clock situation, because I would definitely be connecting a lot more of these lines. But then it becomes the thing of, it's like a refresher that maybe you don't have to connect every single line. Like it works. It all works. It was like I saw your live stream where you were penciling to ink it. And I'm like, why don't you just do that and call it done? It looks about as clean as anything I've ever seen.
You're not the first person to tell me that my pencils are clean enough.
Look, and I do the same thing. Like I will draw something over and over and then ink it when it's like, that's been done 4 times over, bro.
Yeah.
What are you trying to prove? Now, let's see. Since I've done this aesthetic with the gloves and everything else, I think the lasers have to follow suit.
Try to get scale on Instagram right now while you're working. Will it fit? Oh, I got to make the aspect ratio more square.
You have to change the scale?
Hey!
But now, hold on.
You're correct, sir.
Do you have to change the aspect ratio, or do you just hit that button in Instagram where it resizes everything?
I did that, and it cut off the top and bottom. It's too,
really?
Yeah. What?
Shenanigans.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's a little bit of a drag. There we go. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to... Well, Greg is working. I'll show everybody else what I'm doing. I'm going to switch to my screen just for a second.
Yeah. I'm just
so I'm going to cheat a little bit I'm going to do free transform, and I'm going to stretch out that box behind scale so it fills up more of the space. It doesn't make it look like I just rescaled the image, or rather the canvas. And then I'm going to move that texture, and I'm going to grab another dark red and gradient there. There we go. See, now it looks like I meant to do that. I'm gonna grab all the art and center it a little bit better on the canvas. And my computer's just say, "Oh, you just asked me to move like 10 layers all at the same time. That's really hard." While you're live streaming.
What resolution are you working in?
I think 300. Not that big, but I'm also live streaming while I'm doing this, and I'm like adjusting multiple layers.
Sure.
So it's like being really slow. All right, let's go back to Bones, Master Lasers, see how that character's coming together.
It's a lot of lasers.
That's the way I like it.
And then let's see. Let's give the back shell some kind of a pattern on there.
My gosh, this character just came to life out of nothing.
Well, out of something, out of a name. Bones, Master of Lasers. And then I can use, let's see if we can use a little trick in CSP. I don't know if this will actually work.
Oh, I see what you're gonna do.
Let's hold on. Let me do it in a separate layer.
That's yeah, smart thinking.
And then let's make these lasers classic red. And then we'll do a deadline weight. That's not red. Oh, I got to change this to a color layer. Convert layer. It is a color layer. Oh, I got to change the color to actually red. That'll do it.
Pew, pew, pew. Look at that.
So for anybody who's watching, what I did is I took the perspective tool and created a couple of lines that I could follow. There it is, the Master of Lasers. And then looking at it, it's like there probably should be a laser here, and there should probably be a laser here, and a laser here wouldn't be a bad idea for balance.
Yep.
There you go.
Wow.
A take on Bones, Master of Lasers. Not the definitive.
We know he knows what the definitive one is.
You do in your heart, Jerzy. You know what the definitive Bones, Master of Lasers is.
Well, this was fun, Greg.
This was fun.
Thanks for making time to draw with me and, celebrate our childhood fascination with animal heroes.
They're fun. They're fun to do.
Everybody who's watching, whether you watched it live, thanks to everybody who showed up for the live stream and interacted with us. And for those who are watching it after the fact, all of you, please go to Amazon and do a search for Superhero Universe. It's the only one you'll find. And get it for people in your life this holiday season. That would be a great gift.
Also, I'm noticing Floofy Piggy. Yes, Copycat is very smug. She's very convinced that she's all 9 of her cannot be stopped.
Like a good villain.
That's right.
All right, everybody. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Jerzy.